Okay guys, been wanting to do one. We're going to do a leak down test video. I'm going to show you how it's done. If you haven't done it before and you bought a leak down tester from me, or you want to buy one but you're reluctant to because you're not sure what all steps you need to be taking or whatever. So I'm going to go ahead and do one on this Banshee that I just picked up today, just a few minutes ago, a few hours ago really. I'm going to go ahead and leak it down, show you how everything's done, and pretty much it. So let's get started on this. I'll lay all my stuff back here where it's clean. Okay, so when you buy my kit, you're going to get two caps like this, and what these are for the exhaust flanges right here. Okay, and they seal that. So that's what we're going to do first. We're going to go ahead and put those on. So I'm going to go ahead and put my left one on here, and I think my camera's still a little bit too high. Let me lower it some. Alright, here we go. Now y'all got a better view. So we have the pipes off. The pipes have to be off the bike. And we're just going to take one of our caps and put it right over the exhaust flange like this, and just position it to where you can get to the clamp easiest, like here. Right there is really good for me to get to. I just get on there with a 5/16 nut driver, tighten that one down. We're going to go around to the other side. Alright, now we're on the right side, so we'll do the right one. See the way this clamp is? It's going to kind of be a pain in the butt to get to. So what I'm going to do is just take the clamp off, flip it around, like so, where I'll be able to get to it real easily, like so. There we go. Get them good and tight. Not with a ratchet, just a good nut driver or screwdriver is good. Okay, so there we have those both plugged off, ready to go. Now we can go ahead and get to our intakes. Alright, here we go. And then in the kit, you're going to get a plug like this for stock intakes. It'll fit 26 and 28 millimeter intakes. And then my original gauge that I built myself is different. It looks a little different. The reading is different, and it's not brass. And it'll have a fitting similar to that, and it'll go in one of the ports. And the reason this one has electrical tape on it is because sometimes some of the boots are really worn out and stretched out, and they fit a little bit loose in there. So what you do, if that happens, just put a couple of wraps of electrical tape around it, just, you know, to act as a shim. And electrical tape is soft, so it actually works as a gasket. So that's why that's on there. So pick the side you want your gauge on. I'm going to put my gauge on the right hand side. So I'm going to go ahead and put my other intake plug in the left hand intake port. So what we do is move everything out of the way, and they pop in pretty good and tight. So actually this intake's a little loose. So then we'll just tighten it up with the clamp, the original clamp. Good and tight. And then in the other intake, the one closest to the outside where the gauge will be facing out, you just take the gauge, there it is, put it in like that, and of course tighten it up with the original clamp. Alright, that's that. Let me grab something real quick and we'll see what happens. Okay, here we go. I had to go get my bicycle pump. Just use a basic bicycle pump for it if you can. If you've got shop air, then more than likely you've got a regulator. Just turn your regulator way down to, if it'll go down at like 5 psi, set it at around 6 or 7 psi. Actually, someone sent me a video or a picture the other day where he tested at 10 psi, and it's pretty dang high, but didn't hurt a thing. So, but I wouldn't test it high. I advise y'all test around 6 or 7, and you want the engine to hold pressure. If you test at 7 psi, at the end of 7 minutes, you should be no less than 6 psi. If you test at 6 psi, after 6 minutes, you should have no less than 5 psi. Hopefully y'all got that. Okay, so I always just set my bike pump on the peg. We just hook it up like so, and then have a bottle of a good spray bottle handy with Dawn, with a lot of Dawn in it, concentrate, a little bit of water to find any leaks. I don't have one handy yet. I'm hoping for the best. So if this gauge doesn't hold, then I'm gonna run in the house, get my squirt bottle, because my wife stole it back from me after I stole it from her, and we'll find this leak. I have reason to believe that the right crank seal is leaking on this engine. So let's see if my suspicions are correct. Here we go. Oh yeah, it's leaking already. If you got a bike pump like this, woohoo! Look at there. My other intake plug wasn't tight enough. That's where it was leaking. Hang on, let me grab my phone and tighten that plug up some more. All right, got the adapter back in. Put a couple of wraps of electrical tape on it because these boots are really shot. I've sold a lot of these testers already, and nobody's complained about them yet. And like I said, I've used them a lot on fresher intakes, and you actually gotta force them to pop in there. They fit really good. So this is an old bike, got a lot of hours on it and hard use and stuff. So the boots are pretty well stretched out. When I loosened the clamps up, the carbs pretty much fell out. Okay, so here we go. We're gonna try it, and when you start pumping up on it, and if you start seeing it drop right away, don't freak out just yet, because this little fitting right here leaks. So you want to pump it up to about 6.5 or 7.5, and get ready to pull it off of there as quick as you can. Let's see here. It's dropping a little bit. That's probably just that fitting leaking. I don't really freak out yet until I disconnect it, because what's happened is the air is back feeding all the way through the pump. So if your little bike pump's leaking anywhere, then it's not going to hold. Okay, so we're at 6 there. And that is a bad leak. Okay, after it's got a pretty bad leak, or a really bad leak, we're gonna I went and got my spray bottle, and we're gonna spray this thing down and try to find this leak. Like I said, I have reason to believe it's a crank seal, which is going to be behind the clutch cover. So if I can't find any apparent leaks anywhere on the head, base gaskets, intakes, where the cases meet, exhaust caps, anywhere like that, then more than likely that's where the problem's going to be. But we're going to go ahead and see what we can find. And what I did, this is a bottle that I use, just a Walmart squirt bottle. You can see it's got a blue tint to it. I put a bunch of Dawn in it. I haven't shaken it yet. Put the water in first and then the Dawn. Otherwise, as you're putting water in, it'll foam up and you'll lose all your soap. So just shake it up real good. You'll get plenty of suds. And then go ahead and get your nozzle set how you want, which is what I'm doing right now. And then we'll pressure it up. And I think I'm going to go ahead and spray this motor down as it is before I even pump it up, because it's leaking so bad I'm not going to have time to grab my bottle and look for a leak. Pretty much just going to check the top end right now around the intake plugs, boots, head, base gaskets, and stuff like that. Okay, let's see if anything shows up. And what I'm doing is just trying to use the pump to keep the pressure up. Check around the spark plugs. Wow, this thing is really leaking. Okay, I don't see anything obvious right now. I'm gonna go ahead and take the camera around and go to the other side and see what we can find over there. Okay, we're back again. I went ahead and got one of my, I didn't want to use one of the gauges that I sell because I was saving them for people that buy them, but I like the readout on this gauge that I sell a lot better because it's actually got a 7. And this old gauge here, I've dropped it a few times and I noticed the needle was kind of sticking. And you can actually see with this new gauge how bad it's actually leaking. Check it out. I put it at 6 pounds and look at it drop. It's a terrible leak. So, as I said, I thought I had reason to believe that it was a crank seal because the right pipe was just rolling smoke, bad. And it wasn't carb sync or nothing like that. I could tell. It didn't have a really distinct smell like it was crankcase oil. It smelled like 2-stroke oil, you know, burning. But I had a feeling it was a crankcase seal. So a good way to test for that is you have two crankcase vents. You have one coming from your water pump cover if your bike's never been touched right here. And then you're going to have one at the back of the case right here underneath this motor mount. You're going to have a little plastic, or a nylon tee rather, with a hose coming out of it, which leads up to here. This one is coming from there. So what I'm going to do, and this is how you can test for a crankcase leak, for a right side crank seal leak. You can't really test for the stator other than pulling the flywheel off. So what I'm going to do is disconnect the vent line coming from the front vent and the rear vent. Okay. So here we have, this line here is a vent line coming off the back of the transmission, and this line here is a vent line coming from the water pump cover. And they both vent from the, not the crankcase, but the transmission, I'm sorry, the gear case is what I should say. So there should be no reason for pressure to get into the transmission area or the gear case. So what you can do is plug one or the other. I recommend plugging the front one and then put some soapy water in one of the hoses, or even both of the hoses. You know what, let's try that. We're going to put a bunch of soapy water in these hoses, and then we're going to pump that gauge up. And if we get bubbles out of these hoses, there is no reason there should be air coming from the transmission. And that would tell you that the right side crank seal is leaking, because again, it's inside this right side cover on the clutch side. So I'm kind of rambling on, but I'm thinking about other things while I'm doing this. I'm sorry. Okay, so here we go. We put a bunch of soapy water in there. Try to get enough in there to where you don't have to fill them up, but get enough in there that you know at some point they're both full there. See? All right, now if I can do this at the same time, I'm going to try to get on my pump. I'm going to pump it up. So here we go. Oh, looky there. That is a massive crank seal leak. That's insane. One more time. Actually, gonna back it up a little bit. Well, you know what I'm gonna be doing tonight, guys? I'm gonna be pulling this engine, putting crank seals in it, and hopefully have it running again late tonight or running tomorrow. Here we go. I'm gonna pressure it up. See if I can get the gauge in view too. Here we go. One last time and I'm done. I'll leave y'all alone. Okay, we're gonna pressure it up. Look at them blowing. If you plug one off, it should be even worse because they don't have two holes to vent from. Look at there. It's just blowing. Woo! Wow, it's blowing gear case oil out. Okay, so that's how it's done, guys. That's how you find leaks with a leak tester. I just bought this Banshee a couple of hours ago, and just bought it a couple of hours ago. Pulled the carbs off to jet them because they had stock pipes, and I was gonna slap a set of fatties on it. Slap a set of fatties on it and pull the stock pipes off, Already got the carbs jetted. They're over here on the bench ready to go. I put 300 mains in them, 27.5 pilot on the third clip. And I was actually going to get the carbs and put them back on with the pipes, but that would have been a disaster. That is possible. The engine does have some damage. I'm going to compression test it again before I tear it down, but it'll be coming off the frame right now. I actually carry, I usually try to keep stuff like that, because when stuff like this comes up, it's a pain in the butt to have to wait. So I usually keep, I have all the gaskets here. I have some seal kits here. I have a couple of more inside. I have, try to keep all that kind of stuff like that, because it would be annoying to find out you have a crank seal leak and have to go inside, get on eBay, and wait 4 or 5 days for it to show up. So I have everything I need to split this engine, reseal it, and put it back together and have it fired up, running back together tomorrow. So with that note, y'all have any questions on the leak down testers, where to buy them, I'll put the link in the description. And you can also just go to eBay, search Yamaha Banshee leak down testers, and be sure that the user is Kevin Galindo. And or you can just message me on Facebook direct. Look up South Texas Banshee, that's my group. Type in Kevin Galindo, that'll be me. I'll have a South Texas Banshee logo as a wallpaper. You can find me, or even message me here. I try to reply as soon as I can. So anyway, y'all have a good day, God bless, and you need a leak tester or you need some more information, you know who to call.